Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'd like to give you guys an update on my adenium plant here. So this is my adenium, or otherwise known as a desert rose. It's been really suffering from me the last few years. It keeps going through a strange cycle of it. It grows a few leaves in spring. The leaves then kind of go brown and die off like this here. You can just see on the leaf margin. Then what happens is it puts on a huge amount of flowers, absolutely covered in lovely pink flowers. I'll put in a couple of photos now so you can see how well it does flower every year. And then by the end of that flowering period, there's no leaves left, goes into dormancy for winter with no any leaves on it, and then just starts to cycle again. But the annoying thing is it never grows any stems. So you can see the previous years, this is probably 2 years of growth it's got there, just underneath those leaves. And it's only grown about 1 centimetre each growing season. And same here, you can see that's about 2 growing seasons worth of growth. It's only grown 2 centimetres. So I'm not entirely sure what's wrong with it. This year it has been doing a bit better. The leaves do look a lot healthier than they have in previous years, but I was thinking I had maybe cracked the problem. Then all of a sudden the lower leaves started to go yellow and it started to drop some of them again. And it tends to drop them before they completely yellow. They kind of drops them at this kind of stage. Some of them go a bit more yellow, but most of them seem to just fall off before that. I've tried to find out what the issue is. A lot of the time I thought it was overwatering, because that's what it seems to say mostly online. And but the last 2 years I kept this really dry. It didn't seem to help it at all. What I've done this year though, which has seemed to have helped, is I thought there was maybe too much salt in the pot, especially as there was kind of like a white kind of crusty salt layer on some of the lower roots and some of the compost. So I've given this a really good soak, let all the water keep draining through until it washes all the salt away. I've also kept it a lot damper this year, and that's actually done quite a good result. And I'll give you a quick close-up now of the roots and show what's different with the roots this year as opposed to previous years. So in previous years the roots didn't seem to put any new growth on, it just seemed to be the old roots. There wasn't any new growth, but this year it seems to have put on a lot of new growth. So say previously there was a lot of these kind of woody roots at the bottom there, and every year it wouldn't put any new growth on. But you can see this year with a lot of extra watering and also with a lot of the salt taken out of the compost, it's got loads of healthy roots on it. Around the sides here they're not as healthy, but you can see that definitely at the root tips there's new growth coming on them. This side is a bit bare, I'm not sure why that is, but you can see generally the roots are quite healthy. There's not any of them going rotten, so I haven't been overwatering it, even though this year I've been giving it a huge amount more water than normal. So I'll just see how it does. I haven't fed it yet. I gave it a little bit of Epsom salts to give it magnesium in spring, just in case this was a magnesium deficiency, but I don't know, maybe it did help for a little while, but they've started to fall off again. So I might give it another feed of Epsom salt, see if that helps. Also, a couple of days ago I rinsed out the compost again to make sure there wasn't any salt build-up, but I haven't fed it. And I don't think this is a nitrogen deficiency, because with a nitrogen deficiency you wouldn't get burnt edges like that. You tend to get the whole leaf going yellow and then dropping off. So it's doing quite well at the moment. You can see most of them are growing leaves. There's a couple which have started to put on flower buds. So you can see on this stem here, for example, there's a few flower buds starting on there, just in the edge there. And there's another one down here where there's a few flower buds starting to form. You can see in just this one down here, it's got some little flower buds just starting. So this will probably start flowering probably in July time, I think. I don't know, we'll see how long it takes. But otherwise it's a healthy plant. It's just, as I say, every year, same problem with the leaves going brown. So if any of you have any suggestions, please let me know. I've tried lots of different things. As I say, I've tried feeding it, I've tried not feeding it, I've tried different feeds, I've tried keeping it really dry. That didn't seem to help last year. This year keeping it quite moist seems to have helped. I'm making sure it doesn't get root rot though, because if you keep it too wet it will start rotting off, and in fact this is a common sign of overwatering. But I'm sure this is not overwatering, as the last 2 years I kept it too dry and it did this even worse than it has this year. I've given, as I say, several types of feed, given it Epsom salts recently. That seemed to have helped a little bit, because this year it seems to be doing slightly better, but as again the edges are starting to curl up and die. So I'm not too sure what it is, but I would like this really to put on a lot more growth, because I really wanted to have a nice big fat cortex here at the bottom, nice big fat trunk. That's the main reason I like adeniums. The flowers are really nice, as I say, it has really beautiful pink flowers. But what I really want is a nice fat stem, so even when it's not in flower it'll still look quite nice and interesting, whereas at the moment the stem's not really fattening up at all and it's not putting any new growth on, so it's a bit disappointing. But flowers do look good. So there we are, that's my Adenium update. I'll probably give you an update in a few months' time. What I suspect will happen is it'll do what it does every year. It'll put on loads of flowers and it'll lose nearly all its leaves. The flowering does look better actually because it doesn't have any leaves on it. It really shows off the flowers a lot nicer. But as I say, just the downside of that is it doesn't put any more growth on. The plant's not getting any bigger. Every year it's just the same size. So there we are, that's my Adenium plant, and I'll give you an update when it's in flower.